Honey baked hams.
It's a different company, Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dang it. You messed it up. That's it.
I know.
Welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. I am your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in. I certainly do appreciate that. Thank you for the likes and the follows on Instagram. And I really appreciate the coffees at chewingthefatbr.com. They really help me to keep going with the podcast. And thank you for your thankful memories that you've posted on Instagram as well. I really appreciate that. That's fun going into the holiday season, kind of seeing what people are thankful for. I am thankful for my friends and friendships. And one of the friendships that I have that is now moved kind of to the middle of the country and that I'm really appreciative of, that we stay in touch. Please welcome to the show my guest, Jeff Reynolds.
Big Rob.
Jeff.
What's going on?
Hey, buddy.
It's good to catch up. That is for sure. I haven't seen your face other than Facebook in a while. So
yeah, for sure.
This is cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you agreeing to come on and do like this. I mean, old radio guys, we like to talk in front of microphones and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know why you asked me because I have nothing going on, but I am more than honored to be here. So this is very nice. Yeah. And I just want to say, I really love what you've done. I listened to a couple podcasts and I like the concept. I like everything you're doing with it, the way you're promoting it. So cool stuff, man.
Well,
it's really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jeff. We met, I would say shy of what, 4 years ago or so.
Yeah, something like that. I was thinking the other day, if I was still in Augusta, how long it would have been. And I moved there in November of 2015. So I think we met maybe half year later. I can't remember. Something like that.
Jeff moved to a radio station here in Augusta. Where did you move from for that particular move?
Indiana.
From Indiana, okay. Which that's where you're calling in from today, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah, I grew up about 50 miles east of here. Now I'm actually living in the city, so it's one of my favorite cities on the planet. I mean, it's where I was born. The only thing I don't like is what we're dealing with now. Way too soon, by the way. 20 and 30 degree temps.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's some bitter cold stuff. It's definitely different than the cold days, as I do air quotes, cold days that we had in Augusta, right?
I miss them so much. I love it when that was cold. It's like I spend 90% of my life in AC anyway. Let's be real.
Right. Well, I mean, as radio DJs, on-air personalities, we were creatures of comfort, sitting in a climate-controlled room and talking to ourselves for 4 or 5 hours.
Not in the studio that I worked in Augusta, though. It was always freezing cold.
Well, I remember
burning up.
I was about to say, I remember several times the air going out there and just sweating. Like I can't read the liner notes. I don't know what's going on or where the remote is happening at because I'm sweating in my eyeballs. Yeah.
But I actually bought a space heater to take in there. And if I'm doing that, it's cold because I run hot.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big boy. I run hot too. Everybody's like, it's like you grab somebody's hand. They're like, your hand's so warm. I said, it's all this subcutaneous fat. It's kind of insulating me. So.
I love it.
But yeah, we worked together at the radio station for, a good couple of years, sliding around, day parts and stuff like that. You moved to middays and afternoons and nights, and I'd move around, and we just kind of bonded over us at that time. Here's the thing: is folks may not even realize this. As far as like you think, COVID shut things down, and there's nobody in the place. There was already nobody in the radio station when we were there.
Yeah,
it was just us. It was literally 2 people. So, but yeah, just bonding over that and just cutting up, having a good time. And you brought such a great energy to my life. I'll thank you for that, bringing energy to my life. Because again, you were one of the few people that were there. Because let's face it, sales was gone. Anybody that worked an earlier day part gone. So I appreciated you kind of hanging around and hanging out with me. How long had you been in radio when you moved to Augusta?
I started in 2003, and that was actually in high school. I remember a year before that, they were showing all these vocational school things. We had this little presentation, and you have building trades, medical, welding, things of that nature. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty boring. The last slide that came up was radio, and I was like, hey, I like radio. I used to pretend to be a DJ when I was a kid, so I gave it a shot. You had to apply to get in and all that, and I'll admit I was not. I didn't think it was for me when I first started, because I had a real time struggling. But my instructor said I should have received 2 awards, because I received Student of the Year my senior year. And then he said my junior year, I should have received, if we would have gave one, Most Improved. So
oh, wow.
I was happy for that. So amazing to start from the bottom and go to the top very quickly. So
that's awesome. And I think that's really cool that you started in high school. That's when I started. I started as an intern at a radio station. I remember they had like morning announcements, and they were like, I always wanted to do those. We need somebody to come do morning announcements, blah, blah, blah. And then they actually happened to have an announcement. It's like, oh, by the way, this radio station is looking for interns. If any of our, kids want to go apply to be an intern. And I was like one of the only ones. It was weird. I'm like, how could you not want to go do radio stuff? And because I'm old. So radio was cool back then. You know what I mean? That was the way that you heard new music. That was the way that you found out what the hot trends were going to be and stuff like that. So, and we had some really great stations here in Augusta back in the day.
Well, everybody, I think, has that moment where radio was cool for them. I mean, I remember Friday nights listening to one of the pop stations in Indianapolis, with my cousin. It's weird to think that's how we spent a night, was just sitting around listening to the radio, because you think in today's, it's like, I don't have time to do that. I've got this, and, but back then it was, just waiting for an Alanis Morissette song or, whatever.
with your cassette at the ready, trying to hit record. And hoping that the DJ wasn't talking over the intro, because you didn't want him talking on your recorded version of the song.
Let me do this one, Mike. Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was the kid that actually had, I remember a boombox with a Brooks and Dunn CD and a golf club, like a toy golf club as a microphone. And just, I think it was in the kitchen, just with a stool on the counter, just pretending to be a radio DJ. No idea why. No idea.
That's so cool, though. I mean, obviously it's something there was something that was just internal to you that you were attracted to with that. I think it's one of the coolest professions, period, ever. But it's also one of the professions you do not get into because you like money.
No,
you're a DJ and you're an on-air personality because you like doing it. People want to think, and you got all this money. No. I think there's like 3 DJs that have money, period, like all of radio. And I was never one of those. But it's because you like the connection to people, I think, is one reason. That was always my favorite part, talking to callers. Sometimes you're goofing off with them. Sometimes it's really serious, because you become that friend to your listeners that you never realize, because they listen to you every night at work. They're working an overnight shift or whatever your shift is. And, they make that connection. And then you start to see them when you go out to concerts and remotes and things like that. And they're like, hey, and you get to know them. I always thought that was one of the coolest things about radio.
I miss it. I really do. The calls. It's like, does anybody even call a radio station anymore? Yeah. And it's sad, because it was so much fun. I still say the most fun I ever had was doing live night shows, just because you had an interesting group of people. It was very diverse. I mean, you had, I remember Country Lovin' was a show that I always fascinated me. And it was basically, like a 7 to midnight love line, kind of like Delilah or something like that. And people were out there sending love messages. And I didn't really care for the format that much. I thought it was a little cheesy at times. I mean, It was sweet, but I liked the interaction. I liked the engagement. I was like, man, if I could do something like that, just be able to talk to listeners and get into their lives, I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, Friday nights were always a great night for being live on the air, when people are going to parties or they're going to the club or they're whatever, and they're calling in and they want to, they're pre-gaming. They want to hear whatever song, and they want to, or they want to talk to you, or, hey, what are you doing tonight? And they're, oh, we're going here, we're going there, we're going to the lake, and we're going to, it's like, they're taking you along. They've got you, in the car, they got you on their boombox or their, portable, and they're taking you along with them to be part of that party. That was always such a cool thing. And it's something that you just don't get any other job,
My favorites were I can think of one, and it still makes me laugh to this day. There was this guy, the people that just pick up the phone and it's like, who can I call? Who is going to be around right now? A radio station. Mm-hmm. And so they called, and this was probably 9-10 o'clock. There's a country road where a truck has been tipped over and there's little piggies out all over the road, and you can't make that stuff up. It's like, oh my God. And you have to play that call on the air. And I think Nights, kind of gave you that opportunity, because the people that are listening are truly listening. They're not just, trying to have part of their day. I don't know. I really miss that interaction. Social media is great, but man, to hear people's voices and then to listen to them kind of be a character was the best. And they didn't even know they were doing it at the time. Right. And
but then you got, people is like, they call back because, oh, I heard my cousin on the air, blah, 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 or that the guy with the pigs, that's my uncle, and, or whatever, and you start, the branches start, connecting out to this community that you've created and that you're a part of. It is such a cool thing. And it's one reason why I started the podcast too, is to kind of scratch that itch, because it does allow me to at least kind of talk to people. Mm-hmm. One of the cool things with the website at chewingthefatbr.com is there's a little microphone on there. If you want to leave a voicemail for me, you can actually leave a voicemail, and it's something that I may use in a later episode of the podcast down the line. As I had asked, folks on Instagram, like, as we're in, getting into the holidays, it's like, tell me something you're thankful for. So like, folks want to go on the website and record and tell me what they're thankful for. That's something that I probably would work into, a future episode, a way to create community, a way to connect. So I'm thankful for this opportunity to actually talk to you, talk to listeners, and connect around that type of stuff. Now, I know you've done some podcasts too, as well, right?
Yeah. I'm a great starter, not a great finisher as far as those go. The reason is that I have done a couple is because I can't find one that I really want to sink my teeth into and stick with. Now, I did have one, and this is part of the problem too. I did have one I was really excited about with my girlfriend, but the problem, and I would do a podcast by myself, but I think it's a challenge, and I think you can do it, but it's a much different approach. I think it's much more difficult, and I think you got to really kind of be on your toes for that one. But doing a podcast by yourself is much easier when you're not having to rely on that other person, and that's where it becomes. You have to have somebody that's really committed,
right?
And that's tough, And but I really want one that I can just stay with and be happy about, but I haven't found that one yet. So I've tried some music podcasts and this and that, and I've come up with so many concepts, but it's just it's a matter of execution, and that's what I'm very envious for. You've got a great thing going, so that's awesome, man.
Well, it was something that took me over a year to figure out what I wanted to do. So at least you were experimenting and hitting the record button and trying it out to see if it worked. I was just in my head, trying to come up with ideas and coming up with reasons to not start anything until, I finally kind of got kicked in the tail and was like, yeah, all right, just hit the record button and let's go. And I don't, I regret the time that I didn't do something because I've just really, it's something I look forward to. And I hope that you find something like that too, because you're a great talent. You're a great conversationalist. And you've got stuff to offer any listeners. But it is something that helps to make you make you whole, make you feel complete. You know, like I said, it scratches that kind of radio itch for me. I'm sure it'd probably do the same thing for you when you find that right thing. And I think you will. You're a smart guy. I think you will.
Can I just go ahead and grab that little comment you said and just send it to this radio station that I just applied for? Can you tell them that?
Absolutely. 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 I stand by what I said for sure.
But no, podcasting and it, and I appreciate you saying that, but really it took me a long time too, because I remember doing podcasts, in quotes I put, back in like 2007, where nobody listened to them. It was like this new thing that we would put on the websites, and and I remember having some over the years that would last, a year or two, and then I just went away from it. And I just, for 10 years, I've wanted a good podcast that I just did every week, no matter what. But again, it's finding the concept, it's finding a partner if you need to, and a lot of factors, and everybody's busy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how many times have we rescheduled this episode?
I know.
I feel like it's been 6 months worth of rescheduling.
That's why it's so good right now, man. I hope you're enjoying this. We've put six months of procrastination into it.
Well, it wasn't, but like you're saying, it wasn't even procrastination. It was schedules not lining up, or, life happens, things happen, and you just, but we always like, yes, we need to do it. We want to do it. We both knew we wanted to do this. And I'm so grateful to have you here, and that it worked out. I mean, even pull the curtain back behind the curtain today, this episode, this recording was about an hour later than what it was supposed to be, because and you're texting me it was like, are we doing this or what? And I was across town, handling some stuff, and had to get back over here. I was like, yes, don't plan anything else. I will be there. So yeah, I mean, it'll happen, and it happened at the right time. And then you will be on fire. You will love it. And if you have one person listening, you won't care, because you'll be enjoying it.
Yeah. And that the older I get, the more I say it. If it's going to happen, it'll happen when it happens. And, I'm glad that it is. So.
So what are you doing now in Indianapolis?
Right now, I am working for a great company, Smithfield Foods, world's largest producer of pork, Big Rob.
I do love some Smithfield ham.
It is good. But luckily I don't work in the slaughtering industry. We're a distribution center.
Okay. So, that's even better. That's the part that I like more than the other side of things. So sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working as a shipping clerk. I spent 2 weeks pretending to be a guard in a guard shack, even though that's not what it is, but it's the old school approach. People think you're a guard, and it's like, no, I'm just really checking you in.
Checking you in.
Which funny. The interaction with the drivers is kind of what I like the most about it, because it reminds me of radio. You never know what's going to walk up to you, and you never know what story is going to come out of its mouth. So, so that, and then mountains and mountains of paperwork. That's pretty much it.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's a great idea for a podcast.
That is.
You just have your microphone there to give you some thoughts of the day. And as your drivers come up there, be like, hey, where are you coming in from today?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk anyway. Do you mind if I record this?
Boy, I don't think you would want to hear half of them.
Interesting concept, though. I love finding out about people and what they're doing, where they've been, that type of stuff. That's another reason why I do this. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got something that they can share.
Unfortunately, about 38 seconds in, you learn where they stand politically, and that's what I don't like. It's like, I didn't even ask.
Like, what? I just asked if you.
How did you hauling today? How did you turn me writing with this pencil in my left hand to politics? It makes no sense. Yeah, it's fun. Like I said, it's not my line of work that I have been trained to do. It's not something that I see me doing forever, but I gotta say, it is a wonderful company. They take care of their own. So it's been great so far.
Well, that's great. And is that the home office for the company? That's
no, they're all over the world.
Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't know if there was like a main like hub and it was in.
No,
Okay.
this is just one of the distribution centers. You know,
Gotcha.
that's a good question too. I can't remember where the main, well, it would be Smithfield, Virginia. I believe that's yeah.
There you go. They named a whole town after it. There you go.
I know, right? Yeah.
So, well,
Hey.
here's the thing, Jeff, you know, everything happens for a reason. You're there. Maybe somebody comes through and they hear your dulcet tone and they're like, you know what? We need some voiceover for our next commercial for the holidays. Who can we get?
God,
you know?
I hope so.
And they're like, I know this guy, Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Get him on. Tell people to buy glazed hams for the holidays. It'll be awesome. So
Honey baked hams.
it's a different company, Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dang it. You messed it up. That's it.
I know.
Dang it.
See, that's why it'll never happen.
Well, other than working at Smithfield, anything exciting going on in Indianapolis? Have you gone to is the raceway thing? Is that like a big thing for you? Are you a big, racing fan?
It is. I'm not a huge racing fan. I was actually more of a racing fan as a kid, which I was going to mention this earlier, and I'll make this very quick, but kind of where my broadcasting chops began too was doing race announcing for an RC car track. If you could imagine this, grown men playing with RC cars. And I'm not talking about the ones you would go and buy from Radio Shack. These were, $400, we took it serious. And if you ever wanted to see something hilarious, it was a grown man losing his mind over wrecking his RC car or losing or something. So I got to do a lot of announcing for that. My grandpa let me do that, and I'll be forever grateful for that. But the Indianapolis 500, you should definitely experience it once. It's fantastic. But I try to get there as much as I can.
Yeah,
again, life gets in the way. And I'm really a Formula One guy. I used to love Formula One, and I've kind of gotten into it a little bit more this past year. So what's
the difference in Formula One and the Indy 500? Is that not Formula One?
No. The IndyCar
NASCAR
series,
though, right?
No.
NASCAR.
I used to love NASCAR when I was a kid. I because that was kind of what I raced. It was a RC stock car. So I mean, it was pretty easy to like that. But and if somebody put the Daytona 500 on right now, I'd probably watch it, but I'm not avidly seeking it out. But the main difference with the IndyCar series, one, it's an American sport. And they do a couple road courses, I think, but it's mostly ovals. And the Formula One, that's worldwide. I mean, they might race in Turkey tomorrow and then Australia the next week, so I think they're maybe in Mexico City coming up. They were in the US 2 weeks ago. They were in Austin for the Grand Prix there. And I think they said it's like 300,000 people showed up or something like that. I can't remember. It was crazy amount of numbers, but yeah, it's just something I'm kind of getting back into. The only sport that I really keep up with is football. Now I do like the other sports. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a Cubs fan. I like the Indiana Hoosiers, but as far as game to game, second by second, I might not be able to watch all the games, but I'm reading about the games. I'm studying, I'm focusing. I've always been a huge football fan.
I have never been one that's been a true sport fan. Obviously, I'm not going to say I'm bandwagoning like the Braves winning the World Series.
That's cool though. I mean, that's it's special. It's not like, oh, hey, we're New England and we won again, which obviously isn't happening right now. But at the same time, it's been since the 90s. And the Atlanta Falcons, took a devastating loss in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago to New England.
Right. But that's the thing is like, growing up here, it's like, yes, I went to Braves games. That's what, my mom still religiously watches the Braves games. If I'm, over at the house and she's watching games that were like old games, she's watching replays of games. I'm like, why are you, you know what's going to happen? But she loves it. She loves the Braves. She's a huge Braves fan. Was just tickled pink that they won the World Series. And like, yeah, I'm not one that's going to necessarily watch the game on TV, but if you're like, hey, let's go to the ballpark, let's watch a game, I'm for that, because I think that's part of that kind of getting out, meeting the people, feeling that energy kind of thing, as opposed to two-dimensional in front of the television.
Baseball is the only sport where I think it's better if you go to the game. Football, I don't care to go to a game. It's fun. Really? I'll go, but the best seat is on my couch. I don't care if you're on the 50. My girlfriend's the opposite way. She would much rather go to the games. But baseball, I think, is just an experience. I think, you can smell the hot dogs in the air.
Smithfield hot dogs, as a matter of fact, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Probably. Oh, yeah, because they do own Nathan's Hot Dogs.
There you go.
So, and I'm guessing that's probably one of the big ones that are sold at ballparks. But I especially for the Braves fans, I remember this vividly. Back when the Braves were terrible, you would be able to go to Turner Field and you would be able to, if it was a hot day in Georgia, avoid the sun throughout the entire game, because you would just pick up and move to go to another section because nobody was there. Yeah. So for those fans that have been there the whole time, that's what I love. It's you ride with your team. I as a Colts fan, as a Pacers fan, Pacers have never won anything. They may have won an ABA championship, but it's right. I was a Cubs fan, or I am a Cubs fan. To go that long without anything, it's just for the people that are working class, like that's all they got. I mean, especially in the South, football is religion. And for some of those people to go year after year of just no hope, and then finally bam, you have one that just goes your way. I love it.
Yeah, it's the good stuff. It really is. Like I said, and I think when you and like you talk about New England, it's like, oh, another ring for the. When you go so long, it makes the valleys make the mountains so much higher and makes it so much sweeter.
That's why I never will understand why fans are intimidated or hate or dislike the other teams, especially if they haven't won in a long time. It's like if you were to say, I hate the Detroit Lions, it's like, how could you? They've not been a threat ever. It's like I would love to see the Browns, the Bills, the Lions win a Super Bowl before I go. I mean, that would be fantastic for those teams and those fans.
Jeff, as we are talking about, getting close to Thanksgiving, one of the questions I was asking my previous guests this month and the folks on Instagram is like, is there something in specific that you can think of that you're thankful for? We have a tradition in my house, on Thanksgiving Day, you go around, everybody says something they're thankful for. Is there anything that really comes to mind that you're thankful for, now?
Really just friends and family. And I know that's a lame answer, but especially going through what we have in the last year and a half or however long this has been. I know for a fact, if it wasn't for them, I think things would probably look a lot different for me right now. Having that support is huge. And, I'm not going to lie, it's not been an easy time this last year or so. And like I said, without them, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. And don't ever think that's a lame answer. Having a support system is so integral to a lot of the things that we do, whether it's family, friends, family that were, friends that became family, you know what I mean? That type of stuff. It's so important for everything we are.
And you are absolutely correct. And I would have never believed this, but I had a situation where I was applying for a job recently, and I think I could have got the job. I think I'd probably be doing the job right now. But the the guy I was interviewing with said, look, I want you to take a couple days and just really think about this, because it was going to mean it's in Indiana, but it's far away enough that I would have had to have moved. So that was a big decision. My girlfriend wasn't going to be able to as quickly as I was. And what are we going to do? And he said, and he really said, I want you to have your support system because it's very important. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, that's, something I had never come across before, because usually it's, well, I got a job halfway across the country, so I'm going to go. Are you going to go too? And then back then it would have been, if they would have said no, I still would have went, just because that's how hungry you are for the career that you're in.
Yeah. And that's one of the huge downsides, I think, to radio that people don't realize either. As much as they're like, oh, you must make a lot. No, we don't make a lot of money, and we do it because we love it. But yes, there are opportunities that come along that you think will, elevate you and move you to a point where you might be making money. And it's always, you're going to have to move to the other side of the country. You're going to have to move to this different town. You're going to have to move from the south to the north, north to the south, east to the west, whatever. And we do it. And we do it because of the love of what we do.
And that's just something, if you would have asked me a couple of years ago, it's like, will you take this job? Yes, I'll take, but now, luckily I've kind of stuck back and said, you know what? I don't want 50 addresses. I don't want to just go to some town just because it might be a stepping stone into the next thing, because then again, it might not. I mean, I've known people who have moved to places, picked up their life, moved all the way across the country. And then within a month, they said, we don't really like this person as much as we thought they did. And then they're just SOL. And, that's not cool.
For sure.
And especially now, the industry was, the industry has definitely taken a little bit of a hit over the years. And it was already kind of going that way before this happened. And now you have more people out of work trying to figure out what's next in their career more than ever. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that is really weird, because I was the victim of, they call it an RIF, a reduction in force, working in radio. And I'd been with the company for 10 years, and they came in and said, thanks, we're done. We're just reducing the force. I was one of 3,500 let go in one day from this company. And the thing is like, man, that is so many people. But here's the thing. It's so many people with the exact same skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And now those jobs don't exist for these same people. And I was just one of the first waves that it happened to. There was another wave that would just as many people got left out. There was another company that had another wave, just as many people. So now you have these tens of thousands of people that have all done the same type of thing, all have the same type of skill set, trying to figure out freaking life.
Yeah.
What do I do with this useless, trivial knowledge in my head that was great when I was on the radio, but now what do I do with that? What do I do with this skill set? How can I apply it to another field completely that I never thought of as a career?
Yeah. And not to mention not having as much fun. I mean, because let's face it. I mean, radio was work, but it was fun. You had perks. There's no doubt about it. I remember job postings years ago. Anytime you saw a Florida job posting, it's like, well, we'll pay you in sunshine. It's like, yeah, that's nice, but getting to go to concerts, getting to talk to artists, getting free food. That's what I loved about radio. No 2 days were the same. And that's what I like about my job now. I think that's why I'm sticking with it for now is I like that. There's nothing more that I fear than being complacent. I can't stand it.
All right, Jeff, this is the second segment of the show. This is the part where we want to dive a little bit deeper into you. We get a little bit more serious. I think folks that are in, an entertainment type of industry, we kind of show our curated version of life, and the stuff behind the scenes, people don't have access to and don't realize it's going on. But, that's the way it is with everybody's life. You never know what somebody's going through. So for you, how do you stay positive and keep the dark at bay?
I'll let you know when I find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's basically I just try to just the more that I think about it, the more self-care is just where I try to maintain. I've been one that's, I've struggled with it basically my entire life. I mean, depression, anxiety, just totally torturing yourself for no reason at all, and no idea why. I still suffer from fits of sleeping too much and things of that nature. But I've learned, over the years, what sets that off. And basically, it's just one, surrounding yourself with things you love, and two, surrounding yourself with people you love. And for me, especially, lots and lots of sunshine. That's something that really scared me about moving back to Indiana, and it still affects me. And a lot of people think that it's BS that I'm making it up, but I know for a fact that's exact. I take vitamin D, and I've recently started taking B12, and I think that has really started to improve. But I mean, I'll be honest, we've had maybe 2 or 3 sunny days in the last 2 weeks, and that's difficult. I mean, it's not difficult for everybody. My mom doesn't understand it, but she's also a naturally peppy person anyway. So that's, but yeah, it's a lot of self-care. It's a lot of just telling myself that it's not that heavy. And one of my biggest flaws is I care way too much about what other people think, even though I play it off like I don't. It's me trying to tell myself that I don't, but I still do. And I don't know how to break that. So as I get, just like everything, as you get older, it gets a little easier. You get a little wiser. And, I just try to capitalize on those things that I see positive effects from.
Yeah. And I think when you're talking about that, you realize that you do a certain thing, I think that helps to break down the hold of the thing. I've said that before. It's like, it's kind of the, admitting you have a problem is the first step. And that's true. And if you can admit that you have a problem, then you start to recognize what some of those things are that are the problem. Then you start to say, oh, well, I'm doing that thing that I do. Yeah. I need to stop doing that thing, And
it's a slippery slope for people that deal with this type of thing, because some of us will know exactly what it is that's making us feel this way, and will continue to do it. For me, a lot of times it's, I have the big, I do take some medications, and I think a lot of people say, oh, that's, you shouldn't take those, but my experience has been nothing but positive with those types of things. So, but for instance, forgetting to take the medications on my days off, because I'm currently working third shift, and my days off, luckily I work long hours, so I get 3 or 4 days off at a time. And so I kind of like to try to go pretend like I'm a normal first shift kind of guy during those days. So my sleep gets, and I try to get out there and get some of that sunshine on the days that I can. So I forget to take my medicine, and, it's not that I freak out but I can tell when I've skipped a day or two, and, it sounds silly, but it's what it is. And, you say, well, why don't you just, it happens. There's 2 things that go on. One, you forget. And the weird thing about depression is that there's a time that I feel like it tries to make itself stay around. So it tries to sabotage you from doing the things that damn good and well are going to make you feel that way. But for some reason, it just, you continue to stay on that path of, well, I guess this is just how I'm going to feel.
And you're absolutely right. I think it's a robber of joy. It's a robber of time. It tries to, put you in a box to keep you from being able to associate with other people, do the things that you love, follow passions, communicate with family or anything like that. And it's like, if it can keep you in that box, it's got control over you. And, realizing that that's what it's trying to do. And I don't think there's ever anything wrong with seeking medical attention or medicinal attention to handle those things so that it loosens that grip. Mm-hmm. Whether you're somebody that wants to do meditation to get rid of those things, to get rid of that anxiety, or you have a circle of friends that you call upon to say, hey, I'm having a bout. I need you to know that. I need you, can we meet? Can we have a coffee? Can you come over? I can't leave the house. Yeah. Whatever. To take the medicine, to remind you to take the medicine. You know what I mean? I think you're absolutely right that's what it wants to do. And we have to find the people that help us to loosen that grip.
Yeah. Yeah. Therapy is something that I have definitely been looking to get back into. With that, I've moved around so much that I've had several over the years, and I've started, stopped several times. And that's because I've had both good and bad experiences.
Right.
But I'm constantly intrigued. And I think this is probably how anybody deals with, let's just say, for an example, an addiction or something. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to lose weight, well, everybody knows that exercise and diet is the best way to lose weight. But we're all our ears perk up if we hear about this wonder drug or this wonder pill. And I think it's the same thing for depression. There are times where I think, man, if I could just see the light all the time, like, wouldn't you want to? So things where you see all these crazy Vice documentaries on like people doing like ayahuasca treatments, and they're using like ketamine for PTSD folks, like who have been to war and things of that nature. It's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I got to try that, but in your mind you're like, well, if it works, let me try it.
And I think that is, again, just putting yourself on that road to figure out what it is that will work for you.
Yeah.
Counseling, therapy, it doesn't have to be you on a couch with someone. It can be a conversation with a friend. It could be us talking. It's a kind of therapy. And be real honest
in this format too. That's another thing that I like. You can literally zoom in with your therapist, and hell, that's how most of my doctor's appointments are these days. I mean, it's right. There's so many ways you can do it now. And what I love more than anything is, I don't know of anybody that looks down upon that anymore. Used to, it was a very, oh my gosh, you have to go to a therapist. Oh, you're taking medication. Like, what's wrong with you? Can't you just be okay?
Right. Right. Can't you just be okay?
Right.
Yeah. I do. And the more that we talk about it, and the more that we're okay talking about it and saying, hey, I have this, and somebody else saying, hey, oh crap, I have it too. It demystifies it. It takes that stigma away from it that you're crazy, or that you know what I mean? You just have things that are hard to deal with, and you need help dealing with them. People are social creatures, whether we want to admit it or not. You can have introverts and extroverts, but that's just the type of energy that you receive or give. We are still social creatures. We need some sort of social connection, whether it's to one person or 1,000 or 1 million. You have to have some sort of connection, and seeing that helps to say, okay, all right, maybe it's not as dark as I think it is.
Mm-hmm. And that's something, at least from the outside looking in. I mean, I don't know for sure, but somebody like you, I think you are one of those people that loves going and getting coffee with folks, loves going to this and that. And I enjoy those things too, but being the kind of person that I am sometimes, like unfortunately, I am a plans killer. And, I get so much anxiety for no reason at all about the littlest things, like, well, if I'm going to go to this lunch, I've got to shower, and then I've got, you're way overthinking it. And it's like, well, am I going to have something to say? And it's like, why are you even thinking that? But that's just part of it. And unfortunately, I've passed up on so many opportunities by saying no. And I'm not saying you should say yes to everything, but say yes to some things.
Mm-hmm. And understand, especially if it's friends that are asking you to somewhere, we can go have lunch and literally just have lunch. We can sit across from each other. You don't have to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make small talk about the burger or the weather or whatever, or nothing. Because for me, it's that atmosphere. It's that connection. It's the proximity of the person too. It's like, I want to hang out with you because I like you for who you are, good, bad, otherwise. Whatever flaws you have, I'm okay with that. I want to hang out with you. I want to learn more about you. I want you to know that I care about you.
Right. Yeah, I have, luckily the one thing that I have right now is a friend that I grew up with. He works from home one week and then works in the office here in Indy the other week. He lives about an hour away, but now every other week we meet up for lunch, and I think, man, I look forward to those days, and it's great to have those. The problem is, I don't do it enough that you think, well, why does this have to be it? Why can't but we're all busy. I mean, he's got family, kids, I've got things going on, but that's part of it. Saying yes. There are so many times that I've said yes to things and I still didn't have that great of a time. But there's probably way more times where I've said yes to something thinking it was going to be horrible and ended up being a great life experience.
All right, Jeff, this is going to be our third segment to the show. This is time now for the Fast Five. Fast Five. Fast Five. Here's the Fast Five. I'm sorry, I don't have a theme song yet.
Those are, man, I don't know how you managed to pay for those sound effects, but money well spent.
You have to listen, the artist to sing that, he was in very high demand. So.
I'm sure he was. That was impressive.
This is the Fast Five. It's powered by Poddex. It's an app created by a friend of mine, Travis Brown. It's created for podcasters. It's conversation starters, interview questions. There's over 4,000 questions in the app, but it's also great for like conversation starters. If you have to talk to someone, maybe you can pull one of these questions out and ask one of your truck drivers as you're checking them in, at the guard shack. So,
that's a good idea.
I'm serious. If you want your own deck of Poddex, you can check out the app, or if you go to chewinthefatbr.com/Poddex and use promo code CHEW, you can get 10% off your decks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the randomizer here, and we'll get you going with your first question. No wrong answers. First thing comes off the top of your head, okay?
All right.
What do you need more of in your life?
Ooh, that's a good one. What do I need more of? Can I say happy days?
That's a great answer.
I don't mean the TV show, even though I do love Happy Days.
Hey.
No, I just want more days where I just feel like me. And, that's something I've always strive to have. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just what I've noticed without getting too deep into it. All those years that I worked in radio, my hobbies weren't really that great because my hobby was radio for so long. So now it's like finding things to fill that gap. So,
well, I hope you find some more happy days. I hope you land on a podcast too, man. I'm just saying.
Well, I know that, and see, that's going to be, like you said, scratching that itch. That's what I've been looking for, because I know if I'm going to have an adult job, I have to have a young man outlet.
There you go.
As far as, doing this type of thing.
That's awesome. All right. Question number 2. Have you ever been in a food fight?
In a food fight? No, I don't think so. No, The only food fight that I would say even comes close to that is being a mischievous little kid and trying to shoot peas up on the ceiling or something like that. I do remember doing that sort of thing. And if it stuck, it was the greatest thing in the world. If you could get something to stick to the ceiling.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I never shot peas on the ceiling, but like I remember in like school when you sharpen your pencil really sharp and you flick it and stick it into the drop ceiling.
Yeah,
that was like the best ever. Especially if it would like stay through the whole class.
These kids who were trying to flip bottles on the top, you guys know nothing.
That's right.
Were you in a food fight?
I have been in a minor food fight. It was some things thrown, but I would not call it like an Animal House style food fight. But yeah, I mean there was food thrown back and forth, so I would call that a food fight for sure.
I think that classifies.
Yeah. All right, number 3. If someone made a movie about your life, who would play you?
Boy.
Now, I always say this is a two-pronged question. It's like, who do you think would get the job and play you? Who would they cast? But also, who would you want to play you? Because that's going to be 2 different people, more than likely.
You know, I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. I will say this. I don't get it as much as I used to, but I used to get all the time. You know who you remind me of? Seth Rogen. And I think was part of it was the laugh or something. I don't know. I don't get it as much as I used to, but I think I've got like a very familiar face because I've had people that come up to me and swear they know me. And they don't. For instance, the guy that you had on your podcast before, he's a local singer, bigger guy like me, Ryan.
Ryan Abel. Mm-hmm.
I went to Wild Wing a couple times when I was living in Augusta, and there was a bartender there. It was always very friendly and was like, "Hey man, how's it going? Are you going to sing tonight?" And I'd always say, "No, I don't plan on it." And I had no idea. Later, I found out he thought I was Ryan, and like, wow. So I've always had that familiar. But as far as somebody playing me, boy, I have no idea. There's a lot going on up in this head. So they would have to be a pretty method to play me, I think.
So we'll go with a Seth Rogen, though.
That
we'll
works.
Go with a Seth
Rogen. Somebody goofy and somebody who doesn't take things too seriously.
Well, maybe like a Ryan Reynolds then or something.
Well, I mean, he does have the same last name.
See? There you go. It must be destiny.
I'm definitely not that handsome, though.
Well, again, I said, who would get the job and who would you want to get the job?
Well, for me, it would be some C-star actor. It's like we need an unknown for this one.
New talent, up and coming star.
Right.
All right, and number 4. Would you rather get hypnotized when you look at the moon or sleepwalk when you hear a bell?
I'm going to say hypnotized. I don't want to sleepwalk. I couldn't. I mean, that sleepwalking to me is actually kind of terrifying. The thought of it. I mean, I know most of the time it's pretty harmless, but I don't know. I would much rather get hypnotized when I stare at the moon. But then again, I'm wondering what I would do when I was hypnotized. Would I like want to sing a song, or you know what I mean? Right.
Or you just zone out and you're just staring at the moon or something.
I'm all for that. That sounds amazing to me. Anytime I can get out of my own head, I'm there.
Well, I figure that would be easier to actually avoid too. It's like, it's a moon. There are a few days that it's not up there. Right. There are a few days it's not there in the sky. Yeah. I mean, it's there. You just can't see it. You know what I mean? Whereas bells could just happen at any time. You could be in the middle of doing your job and somebody's phone goes off and it's a bell and it's like you just start sleepwalking or whatever. So
that would be a great conversation starter, though. Well, that guy's unique, isn't he?
Ring a bell, see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, watch this.
All right, and number 5. All right, I want you to picture Harrison Ford. Who do you see first? Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
Han Solo. I was just thinking the other day I have never really gotten into the Indiana Jones movies. I mean, I may have seen bits and pieces, and I don't know why. The genre didn't intrigue me as much as Star Wars. But I always thought the bits and pieces that I saw I really liked. But I've never really watched the Indiana Jones series. I don't know why.
I mean, you should definitely check them out.
Yeah,
I will say that my favorite of them was the third one, the Indiana Jones and the.
All I know is Temple of the Doom or something.
No, it's not Temple of Doom, and it's The Last Crusade. That's it. The voice from down the hall just yelled, "Last Crusade!" Thank you, Val. The Last Crusade.
So, are there three?
That's the one.
3 movies total.
There are 4. Okay. There are 4. So there was a Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull came out, I think maybe 10 years ago.
So you want to see the first 3 then, and you're good.
Oh yeah, actually, and that's the thing is like the first one's good. The second one, I'm not a huge fan of Temple of Doom, but the Last Crusade, because it's got Sean Connery in it. Sean Connery plays his dad.
Oh, that's right.
And it's just great because Sean Connery is in it. So that's me. But yes, when I do think of Harrison Ford, I think of Han Solo first, as opposed to Indiana Jones. But
he was just so funny. Which all of his roles, even the serious roles, there was some humor in there. I mean, hell, even in Blade Runner, I mean, there was some humor in there. I mean, but yeah, I'm glad that it's not that big of a chore. I was thinking like it was going to be, like Lord of the Rings or Fast and Furious, where I've got to watch 7 of these damn things.
No, you should check that out. It'll be something fun for you to do over the holidays.
There you go.
But that's it. That's your Fast 5. Great job on your Fast 5, Jeff. And that is also our show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun. I appreciate it.
Dude, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your friendship. And I wish nothing but the best for you in all of your endeavors. And seriously, you want to, knock around some ideas for some podcasts, I want you to text me, call me. We'll do a Zoom call or whatever, and let's get your itch scratched.
I would love to.
I think you are ripe for it for sure, my friend. If folks want to keep up with you, what's the easiest way for them to find you on socials?
Social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm actually certified on Twitter, but I never use it. No, and that's the thing. Like I didn't even somebody certified me. Which I didn't even know you could do. But I hate Twitter. I've always hated it, so I don't really use it.
Okay.
Instagram's my favorite. Obviously, Facebook. That's where most people are. You can just search Jeff Reynolds. If you probably search Jeff Reynolds Indianapolis, you'd find me. I don't know if at Jeff W. Reynolds works for Facebook, but it definitely works for Instagram.
Okay. And I'll put the links in the show notes as well. So, folks, if you want to just check out the show notes wherever you're listening to the podcast, I'll put those links in there for Jeff so you can keep up with him. Of course, you can always find his info at chewingthefatbr.com. Again, Jeff, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, buddy. It was so great reconnecting with you.
Right. Back at you. It was great. Great to see your face, too. And instead of just still pictures on Facebook, I get to actually talk to you.
For sure. Thank you again. And if you would like to support this podcast, please consider buying me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. Thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, I look forward to when we have a moment to sit a spell and chew the fat.